This is Your Path, live, with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Your Path Live. Bishop Mark got an echo again. There we go. See, that volume down. There we go. Welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, Season 3 finale, Part 2. I promise this time we're going to get through this. Let me just tell you a little about the show. We started this last week. Last week was supposed to be our finale. We ran way long. I put too much stuff in there, and it's a whole other show. So that's what we've got going on right now. So we're on summer break. This is the beginning of our summer break. This show's about you. So anything we're talking about today can be superseded by what you have to talk about. You want to talk about your faith, your religion, your life, your family, your parents, your kids, your job, your school, whatever it is you want to talk about, your love life. You know, I'm here to do that. I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to pray with you. And that's why it's called Your Path. So please, there's a little message going across your screen there. It says, go live with the bishop, https://tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark. It's very simple. I can see that Don's already done that because he's in there waiting in the green room for me to talk to him because he actually called in today. First, before even on the air, he called in. I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. Also, if you don't want to do it that way, you can always go to the QR code that's on the screen. This also works for the radio, folks. If you're on the radio, tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark on your smartphone or your tablet or your laptop, and they'll get you right in to see us. Okay. First things first. Let me just get started here, and then I'll bring Don on in just a moment. So let's say this. Okay. I say good afternoon to you, and welcome again to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. It is Wednesday, July the 8th, 2026. And yes, I know what I said last week. Last week was supposed to be the season 3 finale. Last week was supposed to be the night we wrapped everything up, tied the bow, said the prayer, closed the chapter, and stepped into the summer break. But that is not what happened, because last week we only made it through part of what we needed to be said. We only made it to the end of what we must carry forward. We talked about the next chapter. We talked about what has to be left behind. We talked about what cannot come with us into the next season. We talked about what does come with us. Wisdom, lessons, the boundaries, the courage, the faith, the truth, the scars that no longer get to control the direction. But we did not get to the most important part. We did not get to the part where reflection becomes action. We did not get to the part where we stop talking about the next chapter and start writing it. We did not get to the part where we ask the question that matters most. Now what? And maybe that is exactly how it was supposed to happen, because sometimes life does not end the chapter when you thought it would. Sometimes the page does not turn on your schedule. Sometimes you think you're done with something, and then God says, not yet. There's still something more to say. There's still something more to learn. There's still something more to face. There's still one more truth that has to come out before you move forward. And that is where we are tonight. Tonight is not a repeat. Tonight is not a redo. Tonight is not an apology for last week. Tonight is the completion. Last week we began the finale. Tonight we finish it. Last week we named the chapter. Tonight we turn the page. Last week we talked about the next chapter. Tonight we ask what you are actually going to do with it. Because here is the danger with a message like this. It can sound powerful. It can sound inspiring. It can sound emotional. It can make you nod your head, wipe a tear, say amen, and feel like something changed. But if nothing changes when the camera goes off, then all we had was a good night of television. And I'm not interested in giving you just a good night of television. I'm interested in transformation. I'm interested in truth. I'm interested in the kind of spiritual honesty that follows you home. The kind that does not let you keep lying to yourself. The kind does not let you keep calling fear wisdom. The kind that does not let you keep calling avoidance patience. The kind that does not let you keep calling self-destruction love. The kind that does not let you keep saying one day when God has already given you today. So tonight, my friends, the title is The Next Chapter. Now what? Because that is the question. Not did you enjoy season 3? Did you agree with the message? Did something touch your heart? Those things matter, but the real question is, now what? You heard the truth. Now what? You recognize the pattern. Now what? You know the boundary that needs to be set. Now what? You know the apology that needs to be made. Now what? You know the help that needs to be requested. Now what? You know the habit that cannot be undone, that cannot continue rather. Now what? You know the relationship that cannot remain the same. Now what? You know God has been calling you forward. Now what? Because the truth you refuse to act on eventually becomes another burden. Don, you're driving me crazy. He's up in the camera like this, all up in the camera. I'll see his eyeball. Because the truth you refuse to act on eventually becomes another burden. You start carrying the weight of knowing better while still choosing the same thing. And that is a heavy burden. There's one thing to be stuck because you do not know. It's another thing to be stuck when you do know, but you're afraid to move. Tonight is about movement. Not dramatic movement, not perfect movement, not moving back and forth in the camera. The opportunity to fix your entire life in one night. Movement. one step, one decision, one boundary, one phone call, one truth, one act of obedience, one honest moment when you stop pretending you're confused when the truth is you're scared. And let me say that clearly. Fear is not always the enemy. Fear is a human response. Fear may show up when something matters. Fear may show up when you are stepping into something unfamiliar. Fear may show up when the old version of you realizes it's losing control. The problem is not that fear speaks. The problem is when fear leads. The problem is when fear becomes the pastor, the counselor, the decision maker, the map, and the God of your life. Fear can ride in the car, but fear cannot drive. Not anymore. Some of you have allowed fear to drive for years. Fear chose the relationships. Fear chose the silence. Fear chose the hiding. Fear chose the delay. Fear chose the excuse. Fear chose the half-life. Fear chose the maybe later. Fear chose the I'm not ready. Fear chose the what will people think. Fear chose the what if I fail. Fear chose the what if they leave. Fear chose the what if I cannot handle it. And because fear kept choosing, your life kept shrinking. Tonight, we're taking the keys back. Tonight, fear does not get the final vote. Tonight, shame does not get the final vote. Tonight, past does not get the final vote. Tonight, the people who misunderstood you do not get the final vote. Tonight, the person who hurt you does not get the final vote. Tonight, the old addiction does not get the final vote. Tonight, God gets the final word. Tonight, God gets the final word. And God's final word over your life is not finished. You are not finished. Your story is not finished. This ministry is not finished. This path is not finished. Season 3 is finishing, but the work is not. The calling is not. The becoming is not. So tonight, I need you to listen carefully and listen differently. Do not listen as if it's just simply the end of a season. Listen as if this is the beginning of your assignment. Do not listen as if Bishop Mark is wrapping up a show. Listen as if God may be handing you one clear next step. Because that is what I believe tonight is about. Not everything, just the next step. Some of you do not need 10 more revelations. You need to obey the one you already have. Some of you do not need a new sign. You need to stop ignoring the signs that have been flashing for months. Some of you do not need another person to tell you what you already know. You need courage. Some of you do not need to understand the entire future. You need enough faith to take the next step that is already visible. I'm coming, Don. And what is it? And that is what we're going to talk about tonight. What you must do during the summer break. What excuses and fears have kept you stuck. Who are you becoming? What your life is actually demonstrating. What you are no longer willing to lose. What you are willing to fight for. And before we close, we're going to pray over the next chapter. Not as an idea, as a decision. Because tonight, we're not just ending season 3. We are sending you into the summer with an assignment. That assignment is simple. Do not waste the pause. Do not waste the break. Do not waste the time. I promise I'm coming, Don. Just a minute. Do not sit around waiting for season 4 while you do nothing with what season 3 taught you. Do not return in a few months with the same excuse, the same chaos, the same avoidance, the same resentment, the same self-hatred, the same unhealthy pattern, and the same refusal to move. Use the pause. Use the silence. Use the space. Use the time. Use the lessons. Let this summer become evidence that you actually heard what God was saying. Not because everything becomes perfect. It will not. Not because every problem disappears. It will not. Not because you suddenly become someone who no longer fear, with no fear, no questions, no weaknesses, and no struggle. That is not real life. But because you take one honest step and then another and then another, that is how transformation happens. One honest step at a time. Last week we said that some things cannot come with you. Tonight we decide whether we meant it. Last week we said that some things must be carried forward. Tonight we decide whether we will use them. Last week we stood at the doorway of the next chapter. Tonight we walk through. So if you're watching casually, I'm asking you to stop. Stop scrolling. Stop multitasking. Stop half listening. Give yourself this time. Because something tonight may require a decision. Something tonight may confront the excuse you've protected. Something tonight may speak directly to the place you have avoided. Something tonight may make you uncomfortable. Good. Comfort is not always the goal. Sometimes comfort is the thing keeping you asleep. So tonight, it's not about making you feel bad. It's about helping you wake up. Wake up your own life. Wake up your own choices. Wake up your own worth. Wake up to the God who has stopped calling you. Wake up to the fact that the next chapter is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It is waiting for an honest version of you. So let us finish what we started. Let us complete season 3. Let us ask the question we cannot avoid. The next chapter is here. Now, what are you going to do? Okay. Don, you're upside down. You're upside down. Turn it over. Oh, Lord. Here we go, folks. All right, here we go. You put him in here.
What?
There's,
No, I know. You left me hanging.
I left you hanging. Aren't you
You hear
funny?
me?
I hear you
I'm
just
fu-
fine.
Can you see me?
I left
Wait a
you
minute.
hanging.
What? It keeps going out. That's what I was trying to let you know. It's gonna
Your
blink
teeth are
out.
going out. Your teeth are going out?
There, I got it. No,
That sounds like, it sounds like user
no,
error.
it's not.
Hi,
Evening, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Can you
I'm
hear
here.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Talk to me.
Yeah. You already said all of it. I ain't got nothing to say now. You just asked me a question.
I was just getting started.
I'm going to all you talked about. All of it. The
There's a
ins,
lot
the
to talk
outs,
about
everything,
tonight.
man. Except I have to, I got two friends I need you to put on a prayer list. One
Make
just
sure you
died.
just say
His
that to
love
me, and I'll put that on the prayer list this
died.
weekend.
Two days.
I'm sorry.
Let me hear come. Hang on.
You kind of going in and out on
I
me.
know. Rhonda Johnson, she was in a car wreck with her father.
Okay.
She's fine. I mean, he's fine, but she's not. She died twice. And then I'm talking to Bishop. They had to resuscitate her twice. No, I'm on the phone. Okay, I still haven't moved. I need to find a place to live. I'm
I thought
going
you had
to.
that taken care of.
We got to
I
take
thought you
care
had
of
the keys.
what? It's a duplex. We didn't know there was a duplex,
So,
so we're gonna make arrangements to buy the duplex.
okay.
Can you believe that? Listen to me. He's got enough money to get to buy the whole thing, but he didn't want nobody
Okay.
to know that. And you don't know that either.
Good idea. Well, everybody knows it now, Don. You just said it on live TV.
Yeah, whatever happens, we won't find out till Monday.
Okay.
And then top it off, mother. Hello? Oh, but
I'm
I'm
here.
here. Hang on, me too. This phone is going. It's got viruses on
Sorry.
it.
Sorry.
Okay. Hi.
I've missed you all season. You haven't been here much. You haven't called in
I
much.
miss you too. I miss you too. Well, you saw my phone. It's screwed up.
Well,
Totally. Don't say it. I love you too. But anyway, just play down here. I gotta go.
Huh?
Nothing. Congratulations on going to the third season. I hope you have
Going to the fourth season. We're ending our third season.
I
We're going into our
we're
fourth.
leaving. I said we're leaving. I said we're
Fourth.
okay. I said
So
it
we're going
right.
into our
Forget it.
fourth. We just had our 10-year anniversary with the church. We're going to have our fourth anniversary. It's going crazy. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. Now I just need some more help.
Mm-hmm. I'm not volunteering nothing. I'm over here.
You need to.
I was tired, baby. I was tired.
And as well as I am too.
And
Believe me.
I will be there Sunday.
I never realized. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or play a violin for myself right here. But until we sat down and started going through it for the anniversary about all the little things that I do, like the radio show, the TV stations, the sermons, the PowerPoints, all the little things I do add up, and it's a lot. I didn't realize how much it was until I actually put it down on paper and went, "Wow, that's a lot. Just a lot."
Yeah.
So anyway, Don, it's been good to have you again.
Congratulations! I'm very proud of you.
Tell me. Thank you.
My friend Leroy, he died. My friend Leroy, he's in North Carolina. I'm gonna pray for him and his partner Brett. And then my friend Rhonda Johnson, she was in the car wreck with her dad.
We'll pray right now with them, and then we'll pray also this weekend. Can we do that?
Okay.
I don't know their names, and it doesn't matter. I don't need their names. I'm just going to say your friends.
Rhonda and Leroy.
Rhonda and Leroy. Okay, I got it. Bow your head with me, Don. Father in heaven, we come to you with heavy hearts tonight. We'd like to pray for Don's friends, Rhonda and Leroy. Leroy, who passed away, and Rhonda, who was injured very badly in a car wreck. Father, we ask that you watch over their families, help them to understand that life is fleeting, but for a reason, so that we can get closer to you. We become selfish on earth when we lose people, but we haven't really lost them. They're still here. They're just with you also. Father, we ask that you watch over the soul of Leroy and help this transition go well. And watch over, what was her name? I'm sorry, Don. The lady's name?
Rhonda.
Watch over Rhonda.
Rhonda.
And that's what I said, Rhonda. You know the name, Lord. You know what I'm talking about. Watch over Rhonda and help her to recover if it is your will. And if not, help her to be comfortable. Father, we ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay. You good? Don? He's locked up. You locked up on me. Okay. Don, thank you. And you can't say anything. Now you're locked up.
There.
Yes. There you are. There you are. There you are. Hey, thank you. Anything else
Thank you. Nope. Have what? Oh, Sean. Said hi.
Hi, Sean.
How you doing?
Yeah,
Hi, guys.
You doing all right, Mark?
Watch the rest of the show
Okay.
now. Make sure you watch the rest of the show.
I'll try.
Uh-huh. Bye.
I got you. Bye.
All right. Don Herod. Never a dull moment. All right. Now I'm behind. Okay, folks. No matter what it takes, we're getting through this today. We're not doing another one. So, okay. Here we go. Where we left off last week. Before we move forward, let me briefly remind you where we left off last week. Last week, we began the season 3 finale by talking about the next chapter. We said that a next chapter does not begin simply because the calendar changes. It does not begin because we say we want something new. It does not begin because we are tired of the old. Would you let him out? It is not. A real next chapter begins when something changes in us. Something has to be released. Something has to be carried differently. Something has to be faced honestly. Something has to be chosen. We talked about what cannot come with us. The shame cannot come with us. The resentment cannot come with us. The old excuses cannot come with us. The fear that has been running the show cannot come with us. The need for everyone to understand cannot come with us. The belief that we are permanently defined by the worst chapter of our lives cannot come with us. The relationships that survive only because we keep abandoning ourselves cannot come with us in the same way. The habit of calling chaos passion cannot come with us. The habit of calling exhaustion faithfulness cannot come with us. The habit of calling silence peace cannot come with us. There are things we have carried long enough. And I said last week that you cannot carry everything into the next chapter. But I also said you do not enter the next chapter empty-handed. There are things you must carry forward. You carry forward the wisdom. You carry forward the lesson. You carry forward the boundary. You carry forward the faith that survived uncertainty. You carry forward the courage you discovered in the middle of pain. You carry forward the compassion that suffering taught you. You carry forward the discernment that came from finally paying attention. You carry forward the truth about who you are. You carry forward the people who prove they can walk with you. You carry forward the evidence that you have survived things you once thought would destroy you. And that is where we stopped. We stopped at the doorway. We had named what needed to be left behind. We named what needed to be carried forward, but we had not yet answered the practical question, what do we do now? What does this look like when Wednesday night is over? What does this look like when the show is on break? What does this look like when there's no camera, no music, no opening, no closing, no weekly reminder? What does this look like in your actual life, in your home, in your body, in your relationships, in your decisions, in your recovery, in your faith? Because that is where the transformation either becomes real or it disappears. A message is easy to agree with while someone else is speaking it. The test comes when you have to live it. The test comes when the old person texts. The test comes when the craving returns. The test comes when the bill arrives. The test comes when the apology is hard. The test comes when the boundary makes somebody angry. The test comes when nobody is clapping. The test comes when the excitement fades and discipline is all that remains. So tonight, we are picking up exactly where we needed to pick up. We are moving from reflection into responsibility. We're moving from inspiration into action. Moving from that was powerful into what am I going to do about it? Because if season 3 ends and nothing changes, then we did not finish the season. We only watched it. And I do not want you to merely watch your life. I want you to live it. So now we ask the practical question. What must you do during the summer break? We've talked about what must be left behind. We've talked about what must be carried forward. Now, when you talk about action, because reflection without action becomes another form of delay. You can understand yourself deeply and still remain stuck. You can identify every pattern and continue repeating it. You can know exactly what needs to change and still refuse to change it. You can feel inspired tonight and return to the same life tomorrow. That is why this section matters. The summer break cannot simply become a period where this program is not on the air. It needs to become a period of practice, a season of application, a time when you take the things we have discussed and begin living them without waiting for another Wednesday night to remind you. The purpose of Your Path Live has never been to make you dependent on this program. The purpose has been to help you recognize God's presence in your own life, to help you listen, to help you think, to help you examine your choices, to help you become more honest, to help you move. So, during this break, I do not want you sitting around waiting for season 4 to begin. I want you working on your life, not obsessing over your life, not criticizing everything about yourself, not trying to become perfect before return, working honestly, slowly, consistently, intentionally. The first thing you must do during this break is choose one area of your life that genuinely needs attention. One, not 12, not every problem you ever had, not an impossible list that guarantees you'll feel overwhelmed and give up. Choose one area. Maybe it's your spiritual life. Maybe it's your physical health. Maybe it's your recovery. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your home. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe it's your grief. Maybe it's your emotional health. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's the way you speak to yourself. Maybe it's a decision you have avoided. Choose that area. If addressed honestly, choose the area that, if addressed honestly, would create the greatest positive change in your life. You already know what it is. It's the thing that came to mind before I finished asking the question. It's the thing that you keep placing at the bottom of the list. It's the thing you say you will deal with when life becomes less busy. It's the thing you avoid because you know dealing with it may require discomfort. Choose it. Do not choose the easiest area simply so you can feel productive. Choose the most honest one. Then ask, what is the actual problem? Not the polished version, not the explanation you give other people. What is really happening? If the issue is money, is the problem only that you need more income? Or is there also avoidance, impulsive spending, no budget, unopened bills, a fear of knowing the truth? If the issue is relationship, is the problem only that what the other person is doing? Or are you also failing to communicate, ignoring warning signs, accepting behavior you know is harmful, using silence as punishment, expecting someone to read your mind? If the issue is your health, is the problem only your diagnosis? Or are there appointments you have avoided, medication you're not taking correctly, habits you know need attention, symptoms you have minimized? If the issue is faith, is the problem that God feels far away? Or have you stopped creating any quiet in which you might hear him? Have you become angry and refused to admit it? Have you reduced prayer to requests? Have you stopped engaging because disappointment made you afraid to hope? Name the real issue. Honesty is the first action. You cannot fix a problem you continue misidentifying. The second thing you must do is create one measurable goal. Not, I want to do better. What does better mean? Not, I want to go get closer to God. What will you actually do? Not, I want to be healthier. What action will demonstrate that? Vague intentions feel safe because they cannot be measured. You can always tell yourself you're trying, but specific goals create accountability. You might say, I will attend one recovery meeting every week. I will schedule the medical appointment I have been avoiding. I will spend 10 quiet minutes in prayer each morning. I will review my bank account every Friday. I will clean one section of my home each day. I will contact a counselor. I will stop responding immediately when I'm angry. I will take a 30-minute walk 3 times a week. I will complete one application every day. I will call one person I trust when I feel myself withdrawing. I will read one chapter of scripture each day and write down one thought. I will have the conversation I've been postponing by a specific date. A measurable goal is not meant to imprison you. It is meant to move you from desire into practice. Do not make the goal so dramatic that it cannot survive your ordinary life. If you've not exercised in years, do not promise yourself 2 hours every morning. It's not going to work. If you've never maintained a budget, do not build a system so complicated that you abandon it by Friday. If you've not prayed regularly, do not begin by demanding an hour of perfect silence every day. Begin realistically. Small does not mean insignificant. Small action repeated consistently will do more than a dramatic promise kept for 3 days. The third thing you must do is remove one obstacle. Every goal has friction. Something makes the right action harder. Identify it. If you want to walk in the morning, but your shoes are hidden in the back of the closet, put them by the door. If you want to pray, but your phone distracts you, leave it in another room for 10 minutes. It's possible. If you want to control spending, remove safe payment information from shopping apps. If you want to attend a meeting, look up the time and location before your day arrives. If you need medical care, put the number in your phone and schedule a reminder to call. If you need to stop contacting someone, remove the conversation from easy view, mute notifications, or block access if necessary. If you need to write, create a place where you can sit without searching for everything first. Do not depend entirely on willpower. Arrange your environment to support the choice you are trying to make. You're not weak because temptation is easier when it is constantly available. You are human. Wisdom reduces unnecessary temptation. Some people keep placing themselves in the same situation and then feel ashamed when the same thing happens. Change the situation where possible. Do not keep alcohol in the house if alcohol threatens your recovery. Do not continue private conversations with someone who repeatedly pulls you back into an unhealthy attachment. Do not carry money you know you will spend impulsively. Do not stay awake scrolling until 3 a.m. and then condemn yourself for having no energy. Remove one obstacle. Create one advantage. Make the healthy choice easier. And the fourth thing you must do is establish one boundary, a real boundary, not a threat, not an emotional announcement, a clear limit attached to your own action. A threat says, you better stop. The boundary says, if this continues, this is what I will do. A threat attempts to control another person. The boundary defines what you will accept and how you will respond. Now, during the break, identify one place where your lack of boundaries is creating pain. Maybe someone calls at all hours and expects immediate access. Maybe you are constantly asked for money you cannot afford to give. Maybe someone speaks to you disrespectfully. Maybe your work has invaded every part of your life. Maybe family members keep pulling you into conflicts that do not belong to you. Maybe you continue discussing private matters with people who repeatedly betray your confidence. Set one boundary. It may sound like, I will not lend money I need for my own expenses. I will not answer non-emergency calls after a certain time. I will end the conversation when insults begin. I will not discuss this person when they are not present. I will not allow unannounced visits. I will not continue explaining this decision. I will not stay in situations where I feel unsafe. I will take one day each week when I do not work. I will not respond while I'm angry. Then keep it. This is where boundaries often fail. People announce them and abandon them the moment someone becomes upset. Of course, they may become upset. The old arrangement benefited them. Their displeasure does not mean your boundary is wrong. You must be prepared for guilt. You must be prepared for resistance. You must be prepared for someone to accuse you of changing. You are changing. That's the point. The fifth thing you must do is have one honest conversation. There's probably something that needs to be said. An apology, a truth, a request, a concern, a confession, a goodbye, a statement of appreciation, a conversation about expectations, a conversation about hurt, a conversation about help. Stop rehearsing it endlessly in your mind, because I know you do. Prepare wisely. Now, we've talked about action. We've talked about goals. We've talked about boundaries, healing, accountability, rest, and faith. But now we need to go deeper. You ready for this? Oh, business cards. Sometimes the reason you're not moving is not that you do not know what to do. You've known for a long time. The problem is that some part of you is still committed to remaining where you are. And that may sound harsh, but stay with me. You can consciously want change while unconsciously protecting the very pattern that prevents it. You can pray for freedom while continuing to negotiate with the prison. You can ask God to open a door while keeping one hand wrapped around the doorknob of the room you're claiming you want to leave. You can say you want peace or repeatedly choosing what is familiar over what is healthy. You can say you want health healing while refusing to release the identity you built around being wounded. You can say you want a new chapter while remaining emotionally loyal to the old one. And until you become honest about that conflict, you may keep blaming circumstances for a decision you are making repeatedly. So tonight, I want you to ask you a direct question. What are you getting from staying stuck? Don't answer it too quickly. You may say nothing. You may say, I hate being stuck. You may say, why would anybody choose this? But every pattern continues because at some level it offers something. Every distribution pattern can provide temporary benefits. Staying stuck may protect you from risk. If you never begin, you never have to find out whether you can succeed. If you never leave, you never have to face loneliness. If you never forgive, you never have to loosen your connection to the injury. If you never ask for help, you never have to risk being refused. If you never tell the truth, you never have to deal with the consequences. If you never try again, you continue blaming the last failure. If you never move forward, you never have to become someone unfamiliar. Staying stuck may be painful, but it can also feel safe. Not truly safe, predictable. And predictability is powerful. Human beings often choose familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom because familiar pain gives us a sense of control. You know how the old pain works. You know the routine. You know what happens next. You know how the argument begins. You know how the disappointment unfolds. You know how you will feel afterwards. So you know how to survive it. And freedom is different. Freedom asks new things of you. Freedom requires responsibility. Freedom removes certain excuses. Freedom may reveal that the life you said you wanted will still require effort. Freedom may require you to admit that nobody else is coming to rescue you. Freedom may require you to stop defining yourself entirely by what happened to you. And that can be frightening. There are people who say they want to be free, but are afraid of who they would be without the struggle. The struggle has been part of the story for so long. It shaped their relationships. It shaped the prayers. It shaped the identity. It shaped the way other people saw them. Who would they be if the crisis ended? I'm sorry, I keep stopping. The neighbors are obviously, if they're doing construction or something. It's driving me crazy. Okay, where are we? All right. Who would they be if we no longer need a rescue? Who would they be if they no longer had someone else to blame? Who would they be if peace arrived and stayed? That question may sound strange to someone who has never lived in constant crisis. But when chaos becomes normal, calm can feel threatening. Your nervous system may interpret peace as the silence before the next disaster. You may become suspicious when things are going well. You may create a problem because waiting for one to appear feels unbearable. You may test people until they finally leave, then use their leaving as proof that everyone leaves. You may reject an opportunity before it can reject you. You may sabotage progress so that familiar remains under your control. At least if you cause the ending, you don't have to be surprised by it. But control is not the same as safety, and sabotage is not protection. It is pain that arrives by your own invitation. Some of you have made an agreement with fear. You may never have spoken it out loud, but your life reveals it. The argument says, I will not take a risk unless success is guaranteed. I will not trust anyone unless they can prove they will never hurt me. I will not speak unless I know everyone will approve. I will not begin unless I know exactly how it ends. I will not leave until I know what replaces it. I will not love unless I can remain completely protected. I will not be vulnerable unless vulnerability carries no danger. But those conditions can never be met. No meaningful life comes with that kind of guarantee. You cannot eliminate all risk. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot ensure that no one will disappoint you. You cannot build a life where loss becomes impossible. You cannot become fully alive while remaining completely defended. At some point, fear has to lose its authority. Not its presence, its authority. Fear may still speak. It may still warn. It may still make your heart race. It may still imagine everything that could go wrong. But fear does not have to cast the deciding vote. You can hear fear and still choose courage. You can feel fear and still choose truth. You can acknowledge fear without obeying it. Some of you have confused fear with intuition. They are not always the same thing. Intuition may warn you quietly and clearly. Fear often shouts 1,000 possibilities at once. Intuition says, pay attention. Fear says, everything is dangerous. Intuition notices a pattern. Fear invents a catastrophe. Intuition may guide you away from harm. Fear may guide you away from growth. You need discernment. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a warning from God. Sometimes discomfort is simply what growth feels like. Sometimes the conversation feels difficult because it matters. Sometimes the opportunity feels frightening because it is larger than what you have done before. Sometimes the boundary feels wrong only because you were trained to believe that saying no was cruel. Sometimes rest feels irresponsible because exhaustion has become your normal. Sometimes healthy love feels strange because dysfunction was more familiar. Do not treat every unfamiliar feeling as a sign to retreat. The next excuse keeping people stuck is I'm waiting for the right time. What is the right time? When there's money? When everyone agrees? When you're less afraid? When your schedule becomes empty? When the family becomes easier? When the grief disappears? When you feel completely healed? When the opportunity becomes risk-free? There may be wisdom in timing. Some things should not be rushed. Preparation matters. Circumstances matter. But the right time can become an imaginary place where courage will no longer be required. And that place does not exist. There will always be a reason to wait. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be another concern. There will always be something unfinished. There will always be somebody who does not understand. Sometimes the right time is simply the moment when continuing delay becomes more costly than beginning. You may not feel ready. Readiness is often overrated. You were not ready for many of the things you have already survived. You learned while living them. You adjusted. You discovered strength in motion. Do not assume readiness must come before obedience. Sometimes readiness is created by obedience. Another excuse is, I do not have what I need. Maybe you do not have everything. Maybe you need more support. Maybe money is genuinely a problem. Maybe health creates real limitations. We should never pretend that every obstacle is simply a bad attitude. Some barriers are real. Some systems are unfair. Some opportunities are easier for people with money, access, privilege, and support. That is true. But after acknowledging what you do not have, ask another question. What do you have? What is available? What can be done with the resources in front of you? Who can you ask? What can be learned? What can begin on a smaller scale? What is the next possible step, not the perfect step? You may not be able to build the entire vision today. Can you write the first page? Can you make the first phone call? Can you gather the information? Can you save the first amount? Can you ask one person for guidance? Can you begin with one room, one client, 1 hour, one application, one meeting, one conversation? Do not use the absence of everything as a reason to do nothing. God has always worked with what was available: a staff, a sling, a little oil, a few loaves, a borrowed room, a willing person. You may not have what the final version requires, but you may have what the first step requires. Another excuse is, I've already tried. Yes, you may have. You may have tried more than once. You may have worked hard. You may have prayed. You may have invested. You may have trusted, and it still failed. That pain matters. Failure can make effort feel foolish. It can make hope feel dangerous. You tell yourself that trying again would only expose you to more disappointment. But one failed attempt does not define every future attempt. Did the effort fail because the dream was impossible, or because the strategy was wrong, because the timing was wrong, because the support was missing, because you ignored information, because you trusted the wrong person, because you quit too early, because you continued too long, because you were not yet prepared, because the goal changed? Failure contains information. Do not romanticize it. Failure hurts. It can cost money, time, reputation, and confidence. But if you study it honestly, it may become instruction. Trying again does not mean repeating the same approach. It means using what you learned. There's a difference between persistence and stubbornness. Persistence remains committed to the purpose. Stubbornness remains committed to one method, even when it clearly does not work. Maybe the method must change. Maybe the timeline must change. Maybe the team must change. Maybe the goal must become more honest. But do not bury the entire future beneath one failed chapter. Another excuse is, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. No, this may be how you behaved. This may be what you learned. This may be a pattern you repeated. This may be the defense you developed. But behavior is not destiny. You say, I've always had a temper. I've always been irresponsible. I've always chosen the wrong people. I've always been bad with money. I've always avoided conflict. I've always been insecure. I've always quit. I've always been this way. The words "I have always" can become a prison sentence. Your history is not an instruction to continue. You may have always done it that way because no one taught you another way. Because the old way once protected you. Because you never believed change was possible. because the people around you benefited from the pattern. But you can learn, you can practice, you can pause before reacting, you can create systems, you can seek treatment, you can choose different relationships, you can become accountable, you can ask why, you can change. Not instantly, not perfectly, but genuinely. Do not turn a pattern into an identity because identity feels permanent. Say instead, this is something I have struggled with. This is something I'm learning to change. This is how I used to respond. This is not who I'm choosing to remain. Language matters. The way you describe yourself can either create possibility or reinforce defeat. Another excuse is, people will judge me. Yeah, they will. People will. Some of them will. People judge you when you stay. People will judge you when you leave. They judge you when you were silent. They judge you when you speak. They judge you when you fail. They'll judge you when you succeed. They judge your weakness. They may resent your strength. You cannot build your life around avoiding judgment because judgment is unavoidable. People judge what they do not understand. People judge what challenges them. People judge from incomplete information. People judge because examining your choices distracts them from examining their own. The question is not whether someone will judge you. The question is whether their judgment deserves authority. Who are they? Do they live with integrity? Do they know the full story? Have they earned the right to speak into your life? Are they offering wisdom or merely opinion? Are they trying to protect you or control you? Not every voice deserves equal volume. Listen to wise counsel. Listen to people who love you enough to tell you the truth. You do not surrender your life to an audience that bears none of the consequences of your choices. They may talk, and then they will move on to someone else. Meanwhile, you still have to live with the decision you made to keep them comfortable. Another excuse is, I do not want to hurt anyone. Now that sounds compassionate. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it hides avoidance. You don't want to end the relationship because they will be hurt. You don't want to set the boundary because they will be disappointed. You don't want to tell the truth because it may cause conflict. You don't want to step away from the responsibility because someone else may have to carry more. But delaying truth does not always prevent pain. Sometimes it increases it. Remaining in a relationship dishonestly is not kindness. Pretending everything is fine while resentment grows is not kindness. Making promises you cannot continue keeping is not kindness. Allowing someone to believe a false reality because you are afraid of discomfort is not kindness. You cannot live without ever causing pain. Sometimes even the right decision hurts. Love may require honesty that disappoints. Love may require a boundary that angers. Love may require allowing someone to face the consequences of their own choices. Love is not the elimination of all discomfort. And protecting someone from every consequence may prevent their growth. You are responsible for avoiding unnecessary cruelty. You're not responsible for preventing every difficult feeling. Another hidden agreement is the agreement to remain the victim forever. Let me be careful here. Being victimized is real. Abuse is real. Betrayal is real. Violence is real. Discrimination is real. Injustice is real. There are things people survive that they did not choose and did not deserve. Acknowledging that is necessary. But victimization can become a permanent identity if the injury is allowed to define every future decision. You were a victim of what happened. But you are more than a victim. You're also a survivor, a learner, a person who chooses, a person with choices, a person with dignity, a person with a future. The shift from victim to survivor does not erase the harm. It restores your agency. It says, this happened to me, but it does not own every part of me. I did not choose this wound, but I can choose healing. I could control what they did. I could not control what they did, but I can seek help now. I was powerless then, but I'm not without power today. But there may be limitations. There may be ongoing consequences. There may be a long healing process, but do not allow the person who harmed you to become the permanent author of your life. Take the pen back. Another hidden agreement is the agreement to remain angry because anger feels powerful. Anger can be useful. Anger tells you something matters. Anger can reveal injustice. Anger can create energy for change. Anger can help someone recognize that a boundary was violated. But anger can also become addictive. It can make you feel strong when you feel afraid. It can protect you from grief. It can keep you from admitting that beneath the rage is heartbreak. Sometimes anger feels easier than sadness. Sadness feels vulnerable. Anger feels active. Sadness says, I lost something. Anger says, I will make somebody pay. And if anger becomes your primary identity, it will eventually burn the person carrying it. You don't have to stop being angry immediately. You may have reasons. But ask what the anger is protecting. What would you feel if the anger became quiet? Grief, fear, shame, loneliness, disappointment? You may need to feel what anger has been covering. Another agreement keeping you stuck is loyalty to the people who suffered with you. This is more common than people realize. You begin to grow, you become healthier, you enter recovery, you pursue opportunity, you develop boundaries, and then guilt appears. You think, who am I to succeed when they are all still struggling? Who am I to leave when they say with me? Who am I to change when we promised we would always be the same? You may feel that growth is betrayal, especially if your old relationships were built around shared pain, shared addiction, shared anger, shared survival, or shared opposition to everyone else. When one person changes, the relationship changes. Some people will celebrate, others will feel threatened. Your growth may expose their stagnation. Your boundary may force them to face what your participation once helped them avoid. But you do not help anyone by remaining broken with them. You do not honor the past by refusing the future. You can love people and still grow beyond the pattern you shared. You can invite them, you can encourage them, you can support them appropriately, but you cannot shrink your life to preserve a bond that requires mutual destruction. Another excuse is God will handle it. God can handle anything, but sometimes that phrase is used to avoid responsibility. You say, God will provide while refusing to work, plan, ask, or prepare. You say, God will heal the relationship while refusing to communicate, apologize, or change. You say, God will protect me while repeatedly entering dangerous situations. You say, God knows my heart while ignoring the harm caused by your behavior. Faith is not irresponsibility with religious language. Trusting God does not mean refusing wisdom. You wear a seatbelt and trust God. You take medication and trust God. You create a budget and trust God. You leave an unsafe place and trust God. You seek legal advice and trust God. You attend recovery and trust God. You make a plan and trust God. Action does not compete with faith. Responsible action being an expression of faith. Another excuse is, I need closure. Well, maybe you do, but be careful what you mean. Do you need closure, or do you want one more conversation because you hope the answer changes? Do you need clarity, or do you want another chance to be chosen? Do you need to speak the truth, or do you want to reopen a door that has repeatedly harmed you? Closure is not always something another person gives. Sometimes the pattern was the closure. Their silence was the closure. Their repeated dishonesty was the closure. Their refusal to change was the closure. The decision was the closure. You may never receive the satisfying final conversation your heart imagines. You may have to close the chapter without the last page you wanted. That is painful. But waiting endlessly for someone else to provide closure keeps the door open. You can decide the chapter is over. You can grieve what was unresolved. You can release the question. You can stop searching for an explanation that would make the pain acceptable. Some things will never make sense. Peace may come from accepting that you do not need them to make sense before you move. Another excuse is, I don't trust myself. Perhaps you made decisions you regret. Perhaps you ignored your instincts. Perhaps addiction affected your judgment. Perhaps loneliness made you accept less than you deserved. Perhaps you trusted someone unsafe. Now every decision feels dangerous. You seek endless opinions. You ask everyone what you should do. Then you become more confused because every person offers a different answer. Self-trust is not the belief that you will never make another mistake. You will. Self-trust is the belief that you can make a decision, pay attention, adjust, seek help, and recover if needed. You rebuild self-trust by keeping small promises to yourself. Say you will make the call. Make it. Say you will leave when disrespect begins. Leave. Say you will attend the appointment. Attend. Say you will stop checking the page. Stop. Every promise kept tells your nervous system, I'm learning to protect myself. I'm learning to listen. I'm learning to respond. You do not rebuild trust through one dramatic choice. You rebuild it through repeated evidence. Another hidden agreement is the belief that suffering makes you more worthy. That's a statement I always say. It's what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Some people do not know how to receive a life that is not painful. They were taught that sacrifice proves goodness, that exhaustion proves dedication, that struggle proves faith, that love must hurt, that ministry must destroy the minister, that giving is holy even when it leaves nothing. But suffering is not automatically sacred. Some suffering is unavoidable. Some sacrifice is meaningful. Love often costs something. Service requires effort. But unnecessary self-destruction is not proof of devotion. You do not have to remain miserable to prove that you care. You don't have to reject help to prove strength. You don't have to choose the hardest possible faith to prove faithfulness. Sometimes the blessing is allowed to be a blessing. Sometimes the open door does not hide a trap. Sometimes love can be kind. Sometimes work can be sustainable. Sometimes peace can remain. You're allowed to receive. Another excuse is, I will change when they change. No. Your healing cannot depend entirely on their decision. Your growth cannot wait for their apology. Your boundary cannot wait for their understanding. Your peace cannot wait for them to become reasonable. You may want reconciliation. That requires participation from both sides. But your personal transformation can begin without theirs. You can stop participating in the pattern. You can communicate differently. You can seek help. You can remove access. You can forgive. You can move. You can change your response even if they repeat theirs. Waiting for someone else to change gives them control over your future. Take responsibility for your side of the street. You cannot clean theirs, but you can stop throwing your trash onto it. You can stop crossing over to continue the same fight. You can stop using their dysfunction as permission for your own. Another excuse is, I do not know where to start. Start where the pain is loudest. Start where the pattern is clearest. Start with a phone call. Start with the truth. Start with the appointment. Start with one drawer. Start with one meeting. Start with 10 minutes. Start with an apology. Start by removing access. Start by asking for help. You do not need the perfect beginning. You need a real one. Confusion sometimes becomes a shield. You say, I do not know where to start, because choosing one step means becoming accountable for taking it. You may not know the whole plan, but you know something. Do that. Then the next step will become clearer. Another hidden agreement is with your own excuses. Excuses can become comforting because they protect your self-image. If the reason you're stuck is always somebody else, then you never have to examine your choices. If the reason you failed is always bad luck, then you never have to change your strategy. If the reason every relationship ends is that everyone else is terrible, then you never have to examine whom you choose or how you communicate. Again, not everything is your fault. Do not take responsibility for abuse, injustice, discrimination, or someone else's decisions, but ask honestly, what part belongs to me? Where did I ignore the truth? Where did I participate? Where did I remain silent? What did I repeat? Where did I repeat a pattern? Where did pride interfere? Where did fear decide? Where did I refuse help? Responsibility is not blame. Responsibility is power. You cannot change everything, but the part that belongs to you is the part where change becomes possible. If nothing is ever your responsibility, then you are powerless. If something is your responsibility, you can act. Another fear is the fear of success. People talk often about fear of failure, but success can also be frightening. Success creates expectations, visibility, responsibility, change. You may wonder whether you can maintain it. You may fear that people will resent you. You may fear losing your old identity. You may fear being exposed as unqualified. So you remain just below the level where anyone expects more. You procrastinate. You miss opportunities. You fail to finish. You make yourself smaller. And you tell yourself that life never gives you a chance. But what would happen if the opportunity actually worked? What would you have to become? More disciplined, more visible, more accountable, more willing to receive? Do not sabotage the answer to a prayer because the answer requires growth. You do not have to know how to handle the entire future today. You can grow into it. Another fear is that healing will not be worth the effort. Healing can be exhausting. It may require remembering, talking, grieving, changing relationships, learning the responses, facing consequences. It can feel easier to remain numb, but numbness does not remove pain. It spreads it. You stop feeling the deepest wound, but you also stop feeling joyfully. Connection weakens. Life becomes smaller. Healing may hurt, but so does staying wounded. The difference is that healing pain has direction. It moves somewhere. It creates possibility. The pain of remaining stuck simply repeats. Another hidden agreement is the decision to keep yourself punished. You believe that because you caused harm, you do not deserve peace. Because you failed, you do not deserve another chance. Because someone suffered from your choices, you believe your continued misery somehow balances the scale. But self-destruction does not repair what happened. It creates more damage, makes amends where possible. Accept consequences, change your behavior, become useful, live differently. That honors a lesson more than endless self-hatred. People you hurt do not necessarily need you to suffer forever. They need you to stop causing them harm. They need honesty, consistency, respect, accountability. Punishment can become another way of keeping the focus on yourself. Transformation turns attention toward repair. Another fear is, what if I lose people? You may. Growth changes relationships. Boundaries reveal motives. Honesty disrupts arrangements. Recovery changes social circles. Purpose changes priorities. Some people may leave. Some relationships may weaken. Some may become stronger. The fear of losing people can cause you to lose yourself. Ask, who am I afraid to lose? Why? What does this relationship require me to tolerate? What truth must I hide to preserve it? What boundary am I forbidden to have? What happens when I grow? People who genuinely love you may need time to adjust. They may not understand immediately, but they will not require your destruction as the price of connection. Let those who can grow with you grow. Release those who only know how to hold you in their old role. You are not abandoning everyone who cannot accompany you. Some paths simply separate. That does not erase what was meaningful. Another excuse is it's too late to fix it. Some things cannot be fixed completely. Some consequences remain. Some relationships will not return. Some time is gone. But there's a difference between I cannot restore everything and nothing can be done. You may not be able to repair the relationship. You can still apologize. You may not regain the lost years. You can still use the years ahead. You may not undo the financial mistake. You can still begin making better decisions. You may not recover the exact opportunity. You can still prepare for another. You may not become who you would have been. You can still become someone meaningful. Do not allow what cannot be changed to erase what still can. Another hidden agreement is the agreement to wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you'll feel inspired. Some days you'll feel nothing. If your progress depends entirely on emotion, your progress will remain inconsistent. Discipline says, I will do what matters even when I do not feel dramatic about it. Not perfectly, not without rest, but consistently. Consistently. You brush your teeth without waiting for inspiration. You pay bills without feeling spiritually moved. Some important actions must become ordinary. Recovery, prayer, exercise, medication, budgeting, boundaries, communication. These cannot depend entirely on mood. Create routines that carry you when motivation disappears. Another fear is the fear of being seen trying. Yeah, believe that. You would rather appear uninterested than risk appearing unsuccessful. You mock what you secretly want. You pretend the opportunity does not matter. You refuse to apply because rejection would reveal desire. You say, I do not really care anyway. But pretending not to care is not freedom. It is self-protection. You are allowed to want something. You're allowed to try. You're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to fail publicly and remain worthy. Do not let embarrassment steal your participation in life. People may watch you try. Let them. Some may criticize. Let them. Some may secretly admire your courage. That is not the point either. The point is that you showed up for your own life. So now, after naming these excuses, fears, and agreements, I want you to ask yourself, which one sounded like me? Not which one sounded like someone you know, not which one should your partner hear, not which one applies to your family, which one belongs to you? Are you waiting for the right time? Are you protecting yourself from judgment? Are you afraid of success? Are you waiting for closure? Are you remaining angry because anger feels safer than grief? Are you staying stuck because the old pattern is familiar? Are you calling avoidance prayer? Are you calling fear wisdom? Are you calling exhaustion faithfulness? Are you calling self-abandonment love? Are you calling perfectionism preparation? Are you calling silence peace? Name the agreement, then break it. You may need to say, I no longer agree that fear gets to decide. I no longer agree that my past defines my future. I no longer agree that I must suffer to deserve love. I no longer agree that everyone must understand me. I no longer agree that asking for help makes me weak. I no longer agree that one failure means I should stop trying. I no longer agree that I must remain small to keep people comfortable. I no longer agree that I need their apology before I can heal. I no longer agree that it is too late. I no longer agree that this is simply who I am. Because an agreement does not mean the feeling disappears immediately. Fear may return tomorrow. The excuse may sound convincing again. The old pattern may invite you back. But now you will recognize it. You will say, I know this voice. I know this pattern. I know where this road leads. I'm definitely choosing differently. That is power. Not never feeling tempted. Recognizing temptation before it becomes another chapter. You're not weak because part of you is afraid to change. Change involves loss. Even healthy change requires grieving what was familiar. Be compassionate with yourself, but do not let compassion become permission to remain bound. You can understand why you're afraid and still move. You can honor what the old pattern once protected and still release it. You can say, thank you for helping me survive, but I do not need you to run my life anymore. That is what growth looks like. The next chapter will not begin simply because you want it. It begins when you stop renewing the agreements that keep the old chapter alive. So when the excuse speaks, answer it. When fear says wait, ask whether waiting is wisdom or avoidance. When shame says hide, choose honesty. When perfectionism says not yet, begin imperfectly. When resentment says hold on, choose freedom. When chaos says come back, remember what it cost. When the past says this is all you will ever be, answer no. This is who I was. It is not the limit of who I can become. And in the next section, we're going to bring this directly to the heart. We're going to ask the question many people avoid. Who are you becoming? What does your life currently demonstrate? What would you have to change if you truly believe God was not finished with you? Because eventually, the next chapter stops being an idea. It becomes a decision. Now what? Okay, I have to take a quick break here, folks, because I can't breathe anymore. It was just straight talking. Okay, let's go to a quick commercial. Let me put this up here, and I'm going to drink a little soda pop, and I'm going to put some chipsticks on my lips, and we're going to go right back into it and finish this off. We've got to finish this. Okay, let me get the commercial here. Be right back, folks.
The Zoo Radio Network exists for one reason: to reach people where they are with music, conversation, and truth that still matters. In a world full of noise, the Zoo is a place for connection, reflection, encouragement, and real talk about faith, life, and purpose. Hi, I'm Sean, and I want to tell you a little more about who the Zoo Radio Network is. We are not backed by corporations. We are not driven by profit. We are powered by people. Your support keeps the Zoo broadcasting not only great Christian music, but also modern pop, classical, country, and live programming that speaks to real life. It allows us to produce shows like Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, stream worship services, amplify unheard voices, and remain accessible to anyone who needs hope. No paywall, no barriers. So, why does your support matter? Running a radio network takes more than passion. It takes broadcasting and streaming infrastructure, music licensing and royalties, studio equipment and technical support, website hosting and digital platforms, outreach, promotion, and community programming. Every dollar given goes directly into keeping the Zoo strong, stable, and growing. This is more than radio. The Zoo is ministry without walls. It reaches the lonely at night. It reaches the seeker who won't walk into a church. It reaches the believer who needs to be reminded they're not alone. When you give, you are not just funding a station. You are investing in lives being touched every single day. How can you help? We have a program designed so that all can give without breaking the bank. One-time gift, make an immediate impact. Monthly partner, become part of the backbone of the Zoo. Sponsor a program or hour of airtime. Dedicate it in honor or memory of someone meaningful. No gift is too small. Every gift moves the mission forward. Stand with us. Keep the signal alive. If the Zoo has encouraged you, challenged you, comforted you, or helped you feel connected, now is your chance to give back. Support the Zoo Radio Network today and help us continue broadcasting hope, truth, and real faith into a world that desperately needs it. Give, share, be part of the voice. Visit www.yourdallas.church and go to the Donate tab to make your tax-deductible donation today. Thank you from all of us at the Zoo Radio Network.
Saving Gracie and Me by Daniel Manning is a heartfelt story about a family's deep bond with their dog, Gracie. When Gracie enters their lives, the family is going through a tough time, and she brings a sense of hope and warmth to their home. As she grows, Gracie becomes more than just a pet. She's a source of comfort and joy, especially for the mother who is facing illness. Gracie's love and loyalty inspire the family to keep going, even in their darkest moments. The story shows how the love of a dog can heal, strengthen, and bring a family closer together.
Pick up your copy of Saving Gracie and Me by Daniel Manning today. It's available online or in your favorite bookstore. Choose ebook, soft, or hardcover. Saving Gracie and Me by Daniel Manning.
A story of unconditional love, inspired healing, resilience, and hope.
Experience this unforgettable, emotional journey today.
Something new is on the air at the Zoo Radio Network. New shows, new conversations, more music, more inspiration, and more reasons to listen all week long. Start your week with Mark Zorn Music Monday, every Monday night from 7 until 11. 4 hours of songs, remixes, stories, and music from yours truly, Mark Zorn. Then be inspired and empowered with life lessons with Bishop Mark. Real experiences, honest conversations, practical wisdom, and lessons designed to help you live stronger, move forward, and become the person you were created to be. And when the rest of the world starts winding down, the Zoo is just getting started. Stay up with Zoo Late Night every Tuesday and Friday. More music, fewer interruptions, unexpected favorites, and the perfect soundtrack for your late night hours. Music, talk, faith, entertainment. It is all here on the Zoo Radio Network. Listen now at thezue.net. The Zoo Radio Network, music in motion, faith that inspires. And welcome back to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I'm your host, Bishop Mark Zorn, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas, as we do, well, was every Wednesday night, but now we're going on a little break. This is our season finale. This is it. This is the end of it. We're glad you're with us. Thank you for joining us. And let's get right back to it because I want to finish this tonight. We've got another section to go here. Let's keep going. All right. Here we go. So who are you becoming? Now we come to the question beneath every other question we've asked tonight. Not what happened to you, not who hurt you, not what did you lose, not what do other people think of you, not even what do you want. The deeper question is, who are you becoming? Because whether you realize it or not, you're becoming someone every day. Your choices are shaping you. Your habits are shaping you. Your responses are shaping you. The people you allow near you are shaping you. Things you repeatedly tolerate are shaping you. Things you practice in private are shaping you. The words you speak over yourself are shaping you. The way you respond to pain is shaping you. The way you respond to success is shaping you. The way you treat people who can do nothing for you is shaping you. You are becoming someone. The question is whether you're becoming that person intentionally. Many people think identity is something they simply discover. There is truth in that. There are parts of you that must be uncovered, accepted, named, freed from shame. But identity is also built. You build character one choice at a time. You build trust one kept promise at a time. You build courage one frightened step at a time. You build peace one boundary at a time. You build integrity one honest decision at a time. You build faith a continued return to God. You are not only finding yourself, you are forming yourself. And that means you must stop asking only, who am I? You must also ask, who am I practicing becoming? Because practice matters. If you practice resentment every day, you become more resentful. If you practice avoidance, you become more avoidant. If you practice dishonesty becomes more difficult. Honesty becomes more difficult, rather. If you practice courage becomes more available. If you practice gratitude, your ability to recognize grace becomes stronger. If you practice boundaries, self-respect becomes more natural. If you practice compassion, your heart becomes less eager to condemn. If you practice discipline, you become someone who can trust your own commitments. Who are you practicing becoming? Look at the evidence. Do not answer with intentions. Intentions matter, but they're not the full truth. Look at your days. Look at your decisions. Look at your patterns. What does your life currently demonstrate? You may say you value peace, but do your choices continually invite chaos? You may say you value honesty, but are you hiding what matters? You may say you value health, but are you caring for your body? You may say you value faith, but does God receive anything beyond emergency requests? You may say you value love, but how do you treat people when you're angry? You may say you value family, but do you give them attention or only your exhaustion? You may say you value purpose, but do you consistently show up for it? You may say you want change, but what have you changed? This is not condemnation. This is examination. There's a difference. Condemnation says you are hopeless. Examination says, let us look honestly so that something can improve. You cannot build the next chapter on fantasy. You must begin with what is true. And the truth may be uncomfortable. Perhaps the person you're becoming is more bitter than you want to admit. Perhaps disappointment has hardened you. Perhaps you have become suspicious of kindness. Perhaps you enter every relationship expecting betrayal. Perhaps you have become someone who pushes people away before they can get close enough to matter. Perhaps you call it independence, but maybe it's fear. Perhaps the person you are becoming is exhausted, not simply tired. Exhausted in the soul. You have become so accustomed to functioning while depleted that you no longer remember what it feels like to be fully present. You're physically in the room, but emotionally absent. You're listening, but not hearing. You're working, but not living. You're helping, but quietly resenting everyone who needs help. You're saying yes, but every yes is costing more than you can afford. Is that who you want to become? Perhaps you're becoming more dishonest with yourself. You know something's wrong, but you keep changing the name. You call addiction relaxation. You call avoidance patience. You call control concern. You call jealousy love. You call fear discernment. You call emotional withdrawal peace. You call people-pleasing kindness. You call self-neglect sacrifice. You call the refusal to change just being who I am. What truth are you renaming because the real name would require action? Perhaps you're becoming smaller. You used to dream, you used to speak, you used to create, you used to believe there was more. But repeated disappointment taught you to ask for less, to expect less, to risk less, to need less, to become less visible. You say you're being realistic, but maybe you're grieving a version of yourself you abandoned. What happened to the person who hoped? What happened to the person who tried? What happened to the voice you silenced? What happened to the gift you buried because nobody applauded quickly enough? Who are you becoming? Perhaps you're becoming more compassionate because perhaps pain has softened you rather than hardened you. Perhaps you understand suffering more deeply now. Perhaps you no longer judge people as quickly. Perhaps you know that one bad decision does not tell the whole story. Perhaps you've learned to sit with people without trying to fix them. Perhaps you are becoming someone safer, someone more honest, someone who listens, someone who can say, I do not understand everything you're going through, but you don't have to go through it alone. Honor that growth. Do not become so focused on what still needs improvement that you refuse to acknowledge what God has already changed. Perhaps you're becoming stronger, not louder. Stronger. You're saying no where you once surrendered. You're telling the truth where you once hid. You're walking away from situations you once begged to remain in. You're choosing recovery. You're choosing peace. You're choosing responsibility. You're choosing to stop blaming everyone else. You're learning that strength is not controlling every outcome. Strength is remaining grounded when you cannot. Perhaps you're becoming more faithful, not because every doubt disappeared, but because you kept seeking, you kept praying, you kept asking questions, you stopped pretending. Your relationship with God became more honest, less performance, less fear, less need to impress. You learned to say, God, I'm angry. God, I'm confused. God, I do not understand. God, I'm still here. That is faith too. Faith is not always confidence. Sometimes faith is simply refusing to close the conversation. Who are you becoming? And is that person prepared for the life you keep praying for? That's another question we ought to ask often enough. You want the opportunity, but are you becoming someone who can sustain it? You want a healthy relationship, but are you becoming emotionally honest enough to participate in one? You want trust, but are you trustworthy? You want respect, but do you respect yourself and others? You want more responsibility, but are you reliable with what you already carry? You want financial stability, but are you becoming disciplined? You want peace, but are you willing to release the habits and relationships that profit from your chaos? You want a larger platform, but are you becoming someone who can handle criticism without being destroyed by it? You want influence, but are you accountable? You want God to expand your life, but are you making room? Sometimes we ask God for something that requires a version of us that we have not yet agreed to become. That does not mean we must be perfect before receiving anything good. None of us will receive anything. But blessing often brings responsibility. Love requires vulnerability. Opportunity requires preparation. Healing requires honesty. Freedom requires decisions. The next chapter may demand more of you, not because you're being punished, but because growth expands responsibility. You cannot ask for a new chapter and insist on remaining exactly the same character. Something within you must develop. What would have to change if you truly believed God was not finished with you? Think about that. If you genuinely believed your life still had meaning, what would you stop postponing? What would you begin? What would you stop tolerating? What would you release? Who would you call? Where would you ask for help? What gift would you use? What apology would you make? What opportunity would you pursue? What dream would you stop calling foolish? What habit would you confront? How would you care for yourself differently? How would you speak about yourself? Some people say they believe God is not finished with them, but they live as though the story is already over. They stop preparing. They stop learning. They stop risking. They stop expecting anything new. They sit in the ruins of what did not work and make a home there. They continue breathing. They stop participating. Do not confuse being alive with living. You can exist for years without being fully present in your own life. You wake up, complete tasks, pay what you can, handle emergencies, watch the days pass, but nothing inside you feels engaged. You're waiting for something, a rescue, a sign, a person, a feeling, permission. What are you waiting for? What do you believe must happen before you're allowed to live? Must someone apologize? Must the money arrive? Must your body change? Must your family approve? Must you become completely healed? Must all fear disappear? Must the past be erased? None of those things may happen in the way you imagine. Will you refuse your entire life because the conditions were not perfect? You are allowed to live while healing. You're allowed to laugh while grieving. You're allowed to begin while uncertain. You're allowed to love after loss. You're allowed to create while afraid. You're allowed to hope carefully. You're allowed to experience joy before every problem is solved. The next chapter does not begin when life becomes flawless. It begins when you decide to participate again. And for some of you, participation will look very small at first. Getting out of bed, taking a shower, opening the curtains, making the appointment, answering one message, eating something, going outside, returning to a meeting, throwing away the bottle, telling someone the truth. Small does not mean meaningless. Sometimes the first evidence of resurrection is movement nobody else notices. You moved, you tried, you reached, you asked, you stayed, you chose one more day. Do not despise the small beginning. So people miss their own transformation because it does not look dramatic enough. They expect one powerful moment to change everything. And sometimes that happens, but usually the next chapter begins quietly. A private decision, a limit established, a habit interrupted, a truth spoken, a number deleted, a form completed, a prayer whispered, promise kept. No audience, no applause, but the direction changes. And direction matters more than speed. You may not be moving quickly, but are you moving toward life? You may have a long way to go, but are you facing the right direction? You may stumble, but are you willing to stand again? Stop disqualifying progress because it's not complete. Nothing grows instantly. A seed does not apologize because it's not yet a tree. It simply keeps becoming. You are becoming. Be patient. Do not become passive. Patience says, I understand that growth takes time. Passivity says, I will do nothing and call it timing. Give yourself grace for the process, but remain responsible for your participation. I will ask you another difficult question. What are you pretending not to know? There are truths we generally do not know. Life contains mystery. But there are also truths we pretend not to know because knowing would create obligation. You know the relationship is unhealthy. You know the spending cannot continue. You know the drinking is no longer casual. You know the anger is affecting everyone. You know the apology is overdue. You know the job is destroying your health. You know the dream requires work you have avoided. You know the person is not going to become who you keep imagining. You know the boundary must be set. You know you need help. You know. What are you pretending not to know? Confusion can be comfortable because clarity demands a decision. As long as you say, I do not know, you can remain still. But sometimes the truth has been patient for months, years. You do not like what it asks of you. You do not need another sign. You need courage. What decision are you trying to pray your way out of making? Prayer is essential, but prayer is not an alternative to obedience. There are times when we keep praying because prayer feels spiritual while action feels frightening. God, show me what to do. And God has shown you. God, give me peace. And peace is waiting on the other side of a boundary. God, change the situation. And the situation requires you to speak. God, deliver me. And you can return to the place from which you asked to be delivered. There comes a time when you must stop asking for a different answer. You may not like the next step. Take it anyway. Who are you becoming with no one is watching? That is character. Not the public image, not the title, not the platform, not the clothing, not the spiritual language. Who are you in private? How do you treat people who cannot advance you? How do you speak about people who are absent? What do you do when you could lie and probably get away with it? How do you handle money, promises, power, access? How do you respond when you're wrong? Do you apologize, deflect, attack, disappear? Do you need to be perceived as good more than you are willing to become honest? Some people protect their image at the expense of their character. They do not ask, did I cause harm? They ask, do people know? They do not ask, how can I repair this? They ask, how can I avoid looking bad? But healing requires truth, not image management. Your reputation is what people think you are. Your character is what you repeatedly choose. You may fool people. You cannot build peace on deception. The person you are becoming in private will eventually affect everything public. So ask yourself, am I becoming more honest, more dependable, more teachable, more loving, more disciplined, more compassionate, more capable of hearing no, more willing to admit fault, more willing to keep my word? Or am I becoming more defensive, more entitled, more cynical, more isolated, more dependent on attention, more afraid of accountability? Do not ask this to shame yourself. Ask so you can redirect. You can change direction today. Not everything, direction. You have spent years becoming someone you no longer want to be. There's nothing, change happens overnight, but it can begin tonight. There's another question. What are you no longer willing to lose? Some of you have lost too much. Time, peace, money, health, confidence, relationships, years to addiction, years to fear, years to trying to gain approval, years waiting for someone to choose you, years refusing to forgive yourself. What are you no longer willing to lose? Are you no longer willing to lose your peace to arguments that go nowhere? Are you no longer willing to lose your health to constant overextension? Are you no longer willing to lose your identity to a relationship? Are you no longer willing to lose your future to shame? Are you no longer willing to lose your recovery to one moment of secrecy? Are you no longer willing to lose your voice to fear? Draw the line. There must come a point when the cost becomes too high. You say, this has already taken enough. The pain has already taken enough. The addiction has already taken enough. The fear has already taken enough. This person has already taken enough. The lie has already taken enough. It does not get another year. It does not get another relationship. It does not get another opportunity. It does not get another chapter. This is not bitterness. This is decision. You're deciding that what happened before will not be given unlimited access to what remains. What are you willing to fight for? Not fight against, fight for. People become exhausted because their entire life is defined by opposition, fighting addiction, fighting fear, fighting injustice, fighting illness, fighting criticism. Those fights may be necessary. But what are you fighting for? Peace, family, recovery, purpose, truth, a home, a ministry, a relationship with God, a life where you can look at yourself without shame. You need a vision larger than the problem. You need something that reminds you why the difficult choice matters. A boundary is easier to maintain when you remember what it protects. Discipline is easier when you remember what you're building. Recovery is easier when you remember the life you want to remain present for. What are you building? Do not say simply a better life. Describe it. What does a better life look like on an ordinary Tuesday? How do you wake up? Who has access to you? How do you spend your time? How do you handle conflict? What habits are present? What habits are absent? How does your home feel? How does your body feel? How does your relationship with God function? What kind of people surround you? What do you contribute? The next chapter is not only about escaping pain, it's also about creating something meaningful. You need more than a list of what you do not want. You need a direction. Some people leave chaos and then return because they never learned how to build peace. They know what they're escaping. They do not know what they're moving toward. So define it, not perfectly, but clearly enough to recognize choices that support it. If you want a peaceful life, you cannot repeatedly choose people who thrive on conflict. If you want financial stability, every dollar cannot become an emotional decision. If you want trustworthy relationships, you must practice honesty and choose people who do the same. If you want spiritual depth, your faith cannot receive only leftover attention. If you want a healthy body, hatred cannot be the method. If you want a meaningful life, comfort cannot remain the highest value. What price are you willing to pay for the life you say you want? Everything has a price. Not always money. Peace may cost access to certain people. Integrity may cost popularity. Recovery may cost old relationships. Purpose may cost discomfort. Rest may cause disappointing someone. Honesty may cost an image. Healing may cost the identity built around the wound. Growth may cost familiarity. You keep asking whether the next chapter is worth the risk. Ask whether the old chapter is worth the price of remaining. What is staying the same costing you? Calculate that too. People often examine the risk of change, but ignore the risk of no change. What happens if you remain here another year? What happens to your body, your faith, your finances, your relationships, your confidence, your opportunity? Doing nothing has consequences. Staying in a choice with a price. Staying is a choice with a price. Which price are you willing to pay? And now we come to the most direct question of this entire finale. What are you going to do? Not what you agree with, not what moved you, not what sounded powerful. What are you going to do by tomorrow, by the end of the week, before this month ends? What action will prove that tonight was more than entertainment? Name it. Do not keep it vague. I'm going to make the appointment. I'm going to attend the meeting. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to stop contacting them. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to set a boundary. I'm going to apply. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to begin. I'm going to rest. I'm going to return to God. I'm going to stop pretending. Make it real. Put a date on it. Tell someone trustworthy. Write it down, because tomorrow the emotion may be gone. Conviction may become quieter. Life will become noisy again. The old pattern will offer reasons to wait. That is why the decision must become structure. Do not rely on remembering how you felt. Create a plan that survives the feeling. And understand this: no one can make this decision for you. People can love you, support you, pray for you, advise you, warn you. They cannot choose your life on your behalf. At some point, you must decide that you are worth the effort, that your future is worth protecting, that your peace is worth the boundary, that your recovery is worth the call, that your purpose is worth the risk, that your soul is worth the truth. You don't have to feel worthy before you act. Sometimes action teaches you worth. You set the boundary and discover you deserve protection. You ask for help and discover you deserve support. You leave the harmful situation and discover you deserve peace. You begin again and discover the story was not over. Who are you becoming? Become someone who tells the truth. Become someone who can apologize. Become someone who keeps promises. Become someone who rests. Become someone who loves without disappearing. Become someone who serves without needing applause. Become someone who can say no without hatred. Become someone who can say yes without fear. Become someone who learns. Become someone who remains accountable. Become someone who's not required perfection in order to participate. Become someone who understands that faith is not waiting forever. Become someone who moves, not all at once, but deliberately. And when you fail, become someone who begins again. When you're hurt, become someone who seeks healing rather than spreading the wound. When you are corrected, become someone who listens before defending. When you are successful, become someone who remains humble. When you are disappointed, become someone who grieves without surrendering hope. When you're afraid, become someone who does not hand fear complete authority. You are becoming. Let it be intentional. Let it be honest. Let it be rooted in love. Let it be guided by God. Let this summer become the season when something shifted. Not because every problem disappeared, but because you decided to stop living unconsciously. You decided to examine, to choose, to act, to become. The next chapter does not require a completely different person to appear overnight. It requires the person you are today to take one honest step toward the person you know you are called to become. Take that step. Then take another. And when we return for season 4, may we not return as people who merely waited for the program to come back. We return as people who use the silence, use the pause, use the time, use the lesson. We return with stronger boundaries, clearer hearts, deeper faith, and more honest stories, and evidence that God was working even when the cameras were not. Because this season may be ending, but you are still becoming, and God is still writing. When we come to the close of the season, I want you to take a breath when I need to. Not because the work is finished, but because this moment deserves to be felt. Season 3 is ending. For real this time. Excuse me. Conversations are pausing. The weekly rhythm is changing. The cameras will go dark for a while. The set will become quiet. Wednesday evenings will feel different. And for some of you, that may create a little sadness because this program has become part of your week, part of your routine, part of the way you stop, think, reflect, and reconnect. I do not take that lightly. I do not take your time lightly. I do not take your trust lightly. Every week you allow me into your home, into your thoughts, into your questions, into your pain, into your faith. And I'm grateful. Grateful for every person who watched. Grateful for every person who returned. Every person who shaped an episode. Every person who listened quietly without ever commenting. Every person who disagreed but stayed long enough to think. Every person who found encouragement here. Every person who was challenged here. Every person who made a decision because something said here reached them at the right moment. This program has never been about pretending that I have every answer. I do not. It's never been about telling you that my path must become your path. It should not. It's never been about creating followers of a personality. It's been about helping people listen more carefully for God. Helping people become honest about their own lives. Helping people understand that faith is personal, but it is not passive. Helping people recognize that love must become action. Helping people understand that grace does not eliminate responsibility. helping people see that they are not disqualified because their story is complicated, helping people remember that no matter how far they have wandered, they can still take the next step. That has been the heart of Your Path Live. Your path, your relationship with God, your questions, your choices, your responsibility, your becoming. No one else can live your life. No one else can complete your healing. No one else can make your decisions. No one else can walk your path in your place. But that does not mean you walk alone. God walks with you. Grace walks with you. Love walks with you. The lesson of those who came before you walk with you. People who genuinely support you walk with you. And when no human being fully understands your path, God does. God understands the parts you cannot explain. God understands the contradictions, the fear, the desire, the regret, the confusion, the hope you are afraid to admit. God understands why you stayed, why you ran, why you became guarded, why you stopped trusting, why you were tired. God understands the person you were trying to become when you make choices you now regret. God understands the pain beneath the behavior. And God also understands the person you can still become. And that is where we end this season. Not in shame, not in fear, not in regret, in possibility. There is still possibility. As long as there's breath, there's possibility. Possibility does not mean every dream will happen exactly as imagined. It does not mean every relationship will be restored. It does not mean every consequence disappears. It does not mean the road ahead will be easy. Possibility means the next decision still matters. The next prayer still matters. The next act of love still matters. The next boundary still matters. The next apology still matters. The next morning still matters. The next chapter still matters. And you still matter. Somebody watching tonight needs to hear that plainly. You matter. Not because of your title, not because of your income, not because of your appearance, not because of how many people know your name, not because of how useful you are, not because of how much you can do for everyone else. You matter because you're a human soul created by God. You matter when you are productive, and you matter when you're resting. You matter when you're strong, and you matter when you need help. You matter when you're certain. You matter when you have questions. You matter when you're celebrating. You matter when you're struggling to get through one more night. Your value does not disappear because your life became difficult. Your life does not disappear because you made a mistake. Your value does not disappear because somebody left. Your value does not disappear because you are still healing. And because you matter, your choices matter. Your life still deserves participation. Your future deserves your attention. Your peace deserves protection. Your body deserves care. Your soul deserves truth. Your calling deserves courage. Do not abandon yourself. Not again. Do not leave yourself waiting while you spend every ounce of energy trying to rescue everyone else. Do not speak to yourself with cruelty and then wonder why you cannot believe in your own future. Do not return to a place that nearly destroyed you simply because loneliness made the memory look kinder. Do not confuse missing something with needing it back. Do not trade long-term peace for short-term familiarity. Do not hand another chapter to the same fear. You have been given this pause. Use it. Use it to rest. Use it to pray. Use it to listen. Use it to heal. Use it to build. Use it to release. Use it to reconnect. Use it to take care of the things that have been neglected. Use it to enjoy life. Use it to laugh. Use it to remember that spiritual growth does not require you to remain emotionally heavy every moment. God is present in joy too. God is present at the table, in music, in friendship, in rest, in sunlight, in creativity, in laughter that makes you forget your burden for a moment. Receive those moments. Do not feel guilty for being alive. And when this summer becomes difficult, because there will be difficult days, remember what we have said tonight. You don't need to solve everything. Take the next step. You don't need to know the entire plan. Use the light that you have. You don't need to feel fearless. Refuse to let fear decide. You don't need to be perfect, be honest. You don't need to carry everyone, carry what is yours. You don't need to keep every person, keep your integrity. You don't need to win every argument, protect your peace. You don't need to erase the past, stop allowing it to control the future. You don't need to become someone else. Become the truest, healthiest, most loving version of the person God created you to be. And remember this, you are allowed to change. You are allowed to become different. You're allowed to stop doing what you have always done. You're allowed to outgrow an old identity. You're allowed to admit that you were wrong. You're allowed to take a new direction. You're allowed to begin again. Maybe people who remind you of who you used to be, let them. They knew a chapter. They do not control the book. There may be people who refuse to believe you change. Let your life provide the evidence. Do not waste energy forcing people to recognize growth. Live it. There may be people who become uncomfortable when you stop accepting what you once tolerated. Their discomfort is not your command. They may be people who call your boundaries selfish. Examine yourself honestly. But do not surrender wisdom because someone dislikes losing access. Maybe people who accuse you of changing say, yes, I have. Not all change is growth, but growth always requires change. Let this be growth. Let this be the season you become more honest, more peaceful, more accountable, more willing to ask for help, more willing to forgive, more willing to release, more willing to serve, more willing to rest, more willing to trust that God can guide a life that does not look like anyone else's. Do not spend the summer trying to become impressive. Become real. Impressive people can still be empty. Visible people can still be lost. Successful people can still be disconnected from themselves. Become real. Become someone who can sit alone without hating the silence. Become someone who can receive correction without collapsing. Become someone who can give love without losing all boundaries. Become someone who can say, I need help without shame. Become someone who understands that apology is not weakness. Become someone who can celebrate another person without feeling diminished. Become someone whose faith is visible with compassion. The world does not need more people who know how to appear holy. It needs people who know how to love. It needs people who know how to feed. People who listen, people who welcome, people who protect, people who stand beside those the world endures. People who refuse to use religion as permission for cruelty. People who understand that every human life carries sacred worth. Carry that into the summer. Carry that beyond this program. Carry that into every room. Let people experience something different in your presence. Let them feel dignity. Let them feel seen. Let them feel safe enough to tell the truth. Let them understand that faith does not always arrive with judgment. Sometimes faith arrives with a meal, a chair, a phone call, a ride, a listening ear, a quiet prayer, a reminder that they have not been forgotten. That is ministry. Not only what happens behind a pulpit, not only what happens under church lights. Ministry happens wherever love becomes action. You don't need a title. You don't need permission. You don't need an audience. You need willingness. And I pray that this summer you will become willing to see, willing to serve, willing to admit, willing to learn, willing to change, willing to receive, willing to rest, willing to begin. Tonight, season 3 ends. This ending does not represent disappearance. It represents completion. It represents a pause with purpose. It represents truth. Trust that lessons will continue working after the broadcast ends. Trust that God does not stop speaking because the program takes a break. Trust that your growth is not dependent on my voice. Trust that you can recognize God in your own life. Trust that the next chapter is already beginning. You may not see it yet. You may still feel as though you are standing on a blank page, but blank pages are not empty. They're open to truth, open to courage, open to new choices, open to repair, open to grace, open to God. And perhaps the next chapter will not be easier, but it can be more honest. It can be healthier. It can be more intentional. It can be more peaceful, more loving, and it can be more fully yours. When we return for season 4, I do not expect you to have solved everything. I will not have solved everything either, believe me. We will still be human, still learning, still stumbling, still asking questions, still needing grace. But I hope we return changed, even slightly, a little wiser, a little more rested, a little more courageous, a little less willing to repeat what nearly destroyed us, a little more willing to believe that life can still surprise us. I hope you return with stories of boundaries kept, help requested, relationships repaired, relationships released, habits begun, patterns interrupted, prayers answered, prayers still being prayed. I hope you return with evidence that you did not simply wait. You lived. You participated. Oh boy. You became, and now as we close the season, I want to pray with you. Not a performance, not a collection of impressive words, a prayer that for the road ahead. But first, before we go to the prayer, I see somebody who wants to come in and talk with us. So let's see if we can get this person out here. This is William. Wants to come and talk with us. And William can go on the air now here. And so here we go. Hi, William. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me turn my volume up. Hey, try again. There you are.
Hello? Can you hear
Hi,
me?
William.
Hello?
Hi. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry about the
Okay,
echo.
good. Yeah. Sorry, I'm outside. I'm at work, so
Okay. Thank you for
can't
calling.
talk very long. But yeah, of course. I tried to listen to you on the your tune in thing, but the mic's not working very well on there. It's like doing this
Oh, I'm
weird
sorry.
thing, so
I
I
hope
couldn't
it's working
listen
better
to
for
it.
everybody else. If it's not, I apologize, folks. This is important stuff.
Yeah.
No, maybe do
It's
another
working
week.
online, but yeah, like
Okay.
on this it's working good.
Okay.
But yeah.
I apologize. There could be an echo here because I don't have my headphones on, so it's going to be a little echo. So everybody just relax. It's just a little echo.
Okay. Yeah, sorry
All
about that. But yeah, I'm just at work and I'm just wanting to call because I want to support and want a prayer just to make sure everything's going good for me.
Is it?
because um kind of ish. I was late today for work, so I'm like stressed about it. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Were you late because of
Outside.
your own fault?
Yeah, it was my fault.
Okay. Fair enough.
I just didn't wake up into. It's my fault.
Gotcha. So what can
Yeah.
I pray for you today then?
That just for my future of my job and basically just my also everything else in my personal life. I'm trying to help with my finances and things of that nature. Trying to do better. So I could use a
Okay.
little prayer for doing
If you
better.
didn't watch a lot of the show,
Outside.
William, this might be a good one to repeat.
Yeah.
Because there's some good stuff in here that just acting just to help you just with some of the things you're asking about now that could really help you. But let's just go ahead and I just
Okay.
want to pass that on to you. If you haven't, this will be on the air. You can watch it again. It'll be on your feed. It'll be on YouTube. You can watch it again, and it'll be repeated on Thursday night here on the Zoo. So if you're listening on the Zoo, you can hear it there. Okay.
Okay.
Bow your head with me, William. Let's go ahead and pray.
Okay.
Father in heaven, we come to you tonight with requests that if your will be it, that we want it. We want financial freedom. Help us to know how to get that. Help us to work toward that. Help us to find the path that leads to that. We want to have stability in work. Help us to make ourselves more reliable, more valuable, more needed at work so that we are more needed and more valuable and we are stable in that way. Father, help us to create ourselves better so that we can be what we're asking to be. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. That make sense?
Amen. Yeah.
Get it?
Thank you very
Don't
much.
you
I
answer yes,
appreciate
it's not, that's the truth.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
All
it
right.
is. Thank you.
Looks beautiful
so much.
outside.
I gotta grab. Yeah, it is pretty outside.
Beautiful blue
I
sky
gotta go
out there.
for work. But
All right, go back to work.
all
Thank you for calling in.
right, I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll be here.
No problem.
See you
Okay.
later, William.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. Now, let's do our closing prayer. I think we're going to make it, folks. Again, folks, I'll ask you to bow your heads with me. God of every beginning and every ending, we come before you tonight at the close of this season. So I'm going to a baseball field, don't I? Turn it down. We come grateful for every lesson, every conversation, every moment of truth, every challenge, every word of encouragement, every person who found hope, every person who felt seen, every person who was reminded that they are not alone. Thank you for walking with us through season 3. Thank you for meeting us in our questions. Thank you for remaining present when faith felt strong and when faith felt uncertain. Thank you for loving us through every contradiction, every mistake, every struggle, every beginning again. Tonight, as one chapter closes, give us courage to enter the next. For those who are afraid, provide strength. For those who are tired, provide rest. For those who are confused, provide the next clear step. For those who are grieving, provide comfort. For those who are lonely, provide connection. For those who are ashamed, provide grace. For those who are trapped in old patterns, provide freedom. For those who need help, provide the courage to ask. For those who need to apologize, provide humility. For those who need to set a boundary, provide wisdom. For those who need to leave, provide safety. For those who need to stay and do the work, provide patience and endurance. For those who are beginning recovery, walk closely beside them. For those who have experienced a setback, remind them that one setback does not have to become surrender. Help them reach out. Help them return. Help them believe that honesty is still possible. God, help us release what cannot come with us. Release resentment. Release shame. Release fear that has become authority. Release relationships built upon harm. Release the need for everyone to understand. Release the belief that it's too late. Release the lie that we are permanently defined by the worst chapter. Teach us to forgive without abandoning wisdom. Teach us to love without abandoning ourselves. Teach us to serve without believing we must collapse. Teach us to rest without guilt. Teach us to tell the truth without cruelty. Teach us to receive correction without shame. Teach us to live with open hearts and clear boundaries. Protect those watching tonight who are in danger. Guide them towards safe people and safe places. Remind them that prayer and practical help can walk together. Protect those who feel hopeless. Interrupt every lie telling them that their life has no value. Place people around them who will listen, support, and remain. Give them enough strength for the next moment, then the next, then the next. God bless every home represented here tonight. Let's bring peace where there has been conflict. Bring provision where there has been need. Bring healing where there has been sickness. Bring clarity where there has been confusion. Bring courage where there has been silence. Bring truth where there has been deception. Bring reconciliation where reconciliation is heavy and impossible. Bring release where the relationship cannot be restored. Help us understand the difference. During the summer pause, keep speaking. Speak through prayer, through scripture, through quiet, through trustworthy people, through conviction, through unexpected opportunities, through closed doors, through the beauty of ordinary life. Help us notice you. Help us stop demanding that your presence always appear dramatically. Teach us to recognize you in the small things, in the breath, in the meal, in the morning, in the laughter, in the person who stays, in the strength to try again. Bless this ministry. Bless your path live. Protect its purpose. Keep it rooted in love. Keep it honest. Keep it courageous. Keep it open to every person who needs a place to ask questions without being condemned. Prepare us for season 4. Give new vision, new wisdom, new strength, new compassion. And while the program rests, let the mission continue. Let love continue. Let service continue. Let transformation continue. God, remind each person tonight that they matter. Remind them that their presence has purpose. Remind them that their path may look different, but different does not mean wrong. Remind them that they are never required to become a copy of someone else in order to be loved by you. Guide them into the life that is honest, responsible, compassionate, and true. And when fear speaks, help them answer with faith. When shame speaks, help them answer with grace. When the past speaks, help them answer with wisdom. When chaos calls them back, help them remember the price. When the next step feels impossible, help them take it anyway. Give us courage, not for the entire journey at once, but for the next faithful step. We place the next chapter into your hands, not because we expect it to be easy, but because we trust that we will not enter it alone. Write through us, work through us, love through us, correct us, guide us, heal us, use us. And when we return not as perfect people, but as more honest people, more loving people, more courageous people, more faithful people, people who do not waste the pause, people who chose to live, people who chose to become. We thank you for what has been. We trust you for what will be. And we step forward into the next chapter in your holy and loving name. Amen. We're actually going to end early, so I can stop here for just a second. Take a breath. I don't want to be reading the script the whole time. I want to talk to you for a second. A lot has been going on with our ministry. And we celebrated 10 years as a church. Dallas Universal Life Church celebrated 10 years as a church a few weeks ago. And that to me is crazy. It is. And 10 years ago, I never imagined. And I don't want to harp on that. I don't want to stuck with that because we're now in year 11 and we're moving ahead. Just like we're moving ahead into season 4. This show started because somebody believed in me. And I give credit to that right now. Pastor Sean Tondren took me and said, "You can do this." And I did with his help and his guidance and his teaching. And this is what we have now. And that's because of him and Debbie. Both of them helping me to make this show happen. So without them, this never would have happened. So thank you to them. Thank you to my congregation who have put up with me and all of my complaining and moaning and groaning and my moods. There's a lot that happens with this church and with this ministry. We have the radio station. We have the TV station. We have church. We have counseling. We have this show. We have the podcast. We have outreach. And then I have a normal life also with my family problems and experiences and relationships and friends. So it's a lot. And I thank you for being patient with me and with us as we learn with you how to do this right. There's no book that's completely going to tell you how life how to live your life. Because, like I said, all of our paths are different. And they're supposed to be. If they were all the same, it would be really, really boring. And I think the whole point of living is to learn. I truly believe that what we learn here, the things we learn here, are required for our next phase of life. And if we didn't have learning, what would we have? I am truly blessed to have the opportunities to lead the church and to be a part of this growth that's happening. And I ask you to help us also. And I don't want to do this on the show, but I need to do it anyway. We're trying to open the Gavin Myers Center. If you haven't heard about that, go check out our website and look under donate, and you'll see the entire thing there. This is a center that it's a Gavin Myers Community Resource and Spiritual Wellness Center is the name of it. And it's named after one of our congregants who passed away. Very loving, caring man for others. It would be a place of worship, a place for counseling, a place for food distribution, for clothing distribution, a place for support, a place to gather, a place to heal. So I'm asking you, if you can, to please make a donation to help that happen. It's a lot going into it. I'm putting a lot of work into it. Everybody else is as well. We really want this to happen. And the way we can make it happen is by raising some money. Go to yourdallas.church, and go to the donate page. There's 3 different kinds of donations you can make to us right now. One is just a regular donation or a tithe. And that would be going to our general fund to help pay for the lights on, paying for things we do with the candles and electricity and all that kind of stuff. Then there's the second one is going to be for what is the second one for? 40. Oh, for the Zoo Radio Network. The Zoo is a part of the church, and it requires a lot of money to run, and so we need help with that. So if you see that you want to help with that, that's there also. And finally, we have the Gavin Myers Center, which is also a place we're trying to raise money so we can get into a permanent home and really become what God wants us to be, what God envisions us to be, what God is pushing us toward. So I ask your help with that, please. If you can, nothing is too small. Please consider making a donation there. We would really appreciate it. Okay. I'm rushing so fast, and I have like 6 minutes left, and that's okay. I didn't want to rush and end this that way, because I don't want to be just reading and getting pretty much scripting and getting out of here. Because I want you to understand how important this time has been for me. It's going to be weird, the last couple of times we've had season finales, which has been 2 now. This will be the 3rd one. 2 before this have been, believe it or not, they've been emotional for me, and they are emotional for me because it is closing a chapter and opening a new one, and there's never any certainty. There's never any certainty tomorrow's going to be here. There's never any certainty that the Wednesday that we will start again. Something could happen. Anything could happen. This could be the last time Your Path ever airs. I don't know. I hope not. And I'll do everything I can to make sure it doesn't. But make sure it does still air, rather. But all I can say is I'm honored to have been a part of this program. I'm honored to have been given the opportunity. Because I don't think I would have done it on my own. I don't think I would have ever had the confidence to go, yeah, I can do that. But some people stood behind me and said, you can do that. And they gave me the reins, and I went with it. And it's become this, and I'm happy with that. We don't get we're not getting all of the people watching and listening that I want, but we're getting people watching and listening, and that's what matters. Are we changing lives? Are we helping people? Yes. Yes, I know that. Are we opening some eyes? Yes, I know that. Are we taking some falsities, some lies, some mistruths, and making them known and teaching the truth? Yes. Love is the foundation of our church. Love in action. In other words, not just in your words, in your actions. You must do. Love is an action. So remember that. You can say I love you all you want, but A, you have to love yourself, because you don't have something, you can't give it away, right? And B, you have to get out there and give that love away. If you give love away, I guarantee you'll never run out of it. It'll always be coming back to you. It just builds and builds and builds. It's a wonderful thing. If everybody could love just a little bit more, this world would be so different. Seriously, folks, think about that. Just love a little bit more today. Sometimes I see when I talk like that, I sound like one of the hippies from the 70s. You know, I was born in the 70s, so I was a kid when all that was going on. But sometimes I feel like that. But you know what? They had something right. There was something right about the peace and love, and they had something right. And love is the answer. If you can love, Jesus gave us that commandment: love one another as I have loved you. If you can love like that, if you can come close to at all loving like that, if you can come half as good as that, you're doing everything right, I guarantee you. You know, you worry about rules and regulations and everything else, because if you're loving like that, if you're loving unconditionally and loving the way Jesus loved us, everything else falls into place. Continue to love, folks. Love yourself and love those around you. Spread that love. It grows. And when you spread it, as you release it, don't just hold on to it. Let it go, because when you let it go, it grows even bigger, bigger, and bigger. And the world needs that right now. The world needs that right now. America needs that right now, too. I know we're part of the world, but sometimes we forget. We need that, too. We're a country that's hurting and needs a lot of healing. So, thank you for a wonderful season. Thank you for a wonderful Wednesday night. I know it was a surprise having the extra one this week, but I'm glad we had it. I'm glad we got the stuff out that needed to be said. Again, if there's a lot of information here in the last two Wednesdays, they will all be repeated Thursday on the Zoo, thezue.net, thezue.net in the evening with the rewind, with the Thursday rewind on the Zoo. And then you can always catch it on YouTube, youtube.com/DallasULC, youtube.com/@DallasULC, youtube.com/@DallasULC. That's where our YouTube page is. All the last 10 years is all right there, and this will be there as well. Okay. I'm truly blessed, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity again, and your patience and your time and your trust in me. Season 3 has come to an end, for real this time. But your path continues. Do not stop walking. Do not stop listening. Do not stop loving. Do not stop becoming. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Use this summer well. And remember, the chapter is ending. The story is not. I'm Bishop Mark. This has been Your Path Live. And until we meet again for season 4, may God bless you, keep you, guide you, and give you courage for whatever comes next. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless you.